Good morning, Utsada. Can you hear me?
Namaste Ajay bhai. Good
Oh,
morning.
I
How are
think there's
you?
some sound issue. I can't hear. I seem to hear you. Hold on. Hold on. Sada, we are live now. Can you?
Yes, we are live.
All right. Utsada, welcome. Welcome to HinduLounge episode number 26. I,
Episode number 26.
look, we once again we have Maya Durga with us, right?
Maya Durga. Namaskar.
She's giving a big smile and all that.
Yes,
Oh, that is great. All right.
she-
So this is Hindu Lounge number 26. For those who are joining us for the first time, Hindu Lounge is a current affairs, current Hindu affairs in America program that we bring live every Sunday at 11 o'clock. We are brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. It is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America, VHPA. And I am I'm Ajay Shah. I'm the Executive Vice President of VHPA. And with me, it's Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsada
Namaste.
is the Executive Director for Hindu Pact. And Utsada, we were not live last week, right? We had actually, vacated our slot and we gave it to the book launch for the Delhi riots, that happened, earlier this year. And but there was also another reason, right? And that other reason was that you were actually Hindu Pact was hosting this or co-hosting a debate on American Hindu issues during the presidential elections, and you were actually participating in that debate. So you were not available because that debate always requires a lot of preparation. I remember, I think. Vice President Biden took 3 days off of his campaign trail, but you did it in 2 hours, and you did a great job. So I think I see a future here where you can be, you're becoming a pro at this. So that I want to give you a chance to welcome, and give you a chance to say some welcome comments, and then after that we will move on to celebrating the day today is, which is Dussehra. So we talk a little bit about Dussehra, and then we'll talk a little bit of Navaratri, and then we'll dive right into all the Hindu American issues this last week. And it was a jam-packed week. So Utsada, welcome to Hindu Lounge.
Thank you, Ajay bhai, and namaste everybody. I hope you guys were missing me last week. We were offline because we were participating in a debate later on in the hour, and it was a fascinating debate. If you haven't seen it, you we can text the link on our text box here, chat box here, and we can direct you to the debate. It was fascinating. It was covered by a lot of the media. Uh, Hindu Americans from both political parties discussed issues that confront us in terms of our future as well as the present in this country. So I would urge everybody to have a look at it. It was very interesting. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope other people who were participating in the debate enjoyed it a lot. And thanks a lot to Ajay Bhai here and Rakhi, who was the moderator of the debate. So I think Hindu Pact has done a fantastic job in terms of doing its events, and it was done very professionally. And so we overall had a wonderful time, and people loved it. So thank you everybody for that. Please make sure you watch it. And so today is Dussehra. My wishes to everybody, and I hope everybody is having a safe and a happy time with their families. And let's proceed, Ajay bhai.
All right. So that it is really I want to share this picture with everyone as we talk about Dussehra. Uh, Dussehra is so as you can see, it's a really auspicious day, right? It's a day when Sri Ram, attained a victory over Ravan in Sri Lanka. It is a day which is where the good prevailed over evil, and this is what what we worship, right? Because we want all every time all actually almost all of the Hindu festivals are victory of good over evil, and this is a very special day. After 14 years, Sri Ram stayed in Vanvas. He went to, and Sita was kidnapped. Everyone knows the story of Ramayana by Ravan. And when all else failed, Sri Ram actually had to fight a battle with Ravan, defeat the evil that Ravan was, and liberate Sita. And then he started his long journey back to Ayodhya. And the day he landed back in Ayodhya was the day of Diwali. So these 15 days are very auspicious, but not just 15 days. The preceding 9 days are also very auspicious because that is Navaratri. So between Navaratri and Dussehra, this is the most auspicious time in the Hindu calendar. In fact, in Gujarat, they do a lot of Dandiya Ras and all that. I know in other parts of India, like in Bengal, there's Kali Puja that will start, in a few days. Diwali is celebrated all over India. So this is like really, really great, unique, festive time for India every year. Now, before before so the before
So
we
Ajay,
start,
I just wanted to
yeah,
add,
please
it's not
go ahead.
just a festive time for people in India, it's a festive time for Hindus all over the world.
Of course.
Uh, in fact, this is one of the times when Hindus in Bangladesh, who are nearly 20%, nearly 11% of their population now, they also celebrate Durga Puja very strongly, with a lot of energy, with a lot of fervor. Of course, there are issues occasionally because Bangladesh being a Muslim majority country, there is violence sometimes. But this is so the 9 days of Durga Puja and Dussehra are very, very auspicious for Hindus all around the world. And so in America also, I mean, there are a lot of Durga Pujas going on, virtual Durga Pujas this year. So it is a very happy time for everybody.
Yeah, I should have said all over the world. The only reason I said India is because it took me back to my school days, because we used to have a month-long Diwali vacation. So Navaratri 9 days, and then a few days later we would have a Diwali vacation for a whole month. And schools and colleges would be shut down in Mumbai, where I come from. So I always think of the days off of a month-long vacation that I used to get. So that's what I was thinking about when I said India. But you're absolutely right. This is a universal holiday. It's not just an Indian holiday. Uh, so that this, this, also the Navaratri, and I share this slide because Navaratri is a day when, Durga Mata defeated Mahisasur, which is a demon who, in a form of a buffalo, and committed a lot of atrocities on the people, and then he was defeated. And this Navaratri, this is these 9 days are celebration of this Navaratri. So I asked Lalita Subramanian here to actually sing. We have never done a song, a live song performance. So not the whole Mahisasur Mardini, which is a song composed by Adi Shankaracharya, but I asked her if she can sing maybe two or three, stanzas out of that song, and we can celebrate Navaratri. And this would be, in fact, our first live performance on Hindu Lounge. So I'll ask her to just sing first three stanzas composed by Adi Shankara. The song is Aigiri Nandini, or Mahisasura Mardini song. It's a classic, been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. So with that, I invite her to sing.
ऐगिरि नन्दिनि नन्दित मेदिनि विश्वविनोदिनि नन्दनुते गिरिवरविन्द्य सुरोदिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवती शितिकण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय ये महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दुर्धरदर्शिनि दुर्मुखमर्षिणि अर्शरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि कल्मषमोषिणि गोचरते धनुजनिरोषिणि दितुसुतरोषिणि दुर्मदशोषिणि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते.
Thank you very much. That was really, really nicely done.
That
So
was
thanks,
very,
Lalita.
That was wonderful. That was very, very well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Utsada, you have collected some really, really nice pictures from across the world about Durga Mata, and you want to maybe tell a little bit of story on that.
Yeah, so I just thought that on Dussehra, after celebrating these 10 days, 9 days of Durga festivities, I went back and looked at some of the photographs I had of Mahishasur Mardini. Uh, and it really brought back some thoughts in my mind, so I thought I should share it. And on as you can see on the screen, there is a Mahishasur Mardini from about 800 years ago from Bengal. And when I looked at it, and I thought it is such elegantly done, very beautiful carving of stone. I believe it's sandstone, polished sandstone. And even though it's slightly damaged, it's still in wonderful, beautiful form. And this is 800 years old. And I looked at it and I thought it's about 27 generations ago that this deity, this statue of Mother Durga in Mahishasur Mardini form was being worshipped in my own ancestral land of Bengal. So I was sitting with my daughter when I was looking at this, and I was like, this is just one generation. Imagine going back 27 generations and imagining my ancestors praying to Devi Durga and this particular statue, because this deity comes from that long back. And then I also thought I would share another historical. This is from 400 years even before that. So that would be about 37, 36 generation before our times. And the one on the right side you see is a Durga Mahishasur Mardini from Gardez, in which is present-day Afghanistan. So around 32 generations ago, our ancestors, the forefathers of people who are Taliban today, were worshipping Devi Durga. And things happen, history happens, and what happens after that.
So I'm a little bit confused. I'm confused because I thought in the textbooks in California said that there was no Hindu dharma and there was no it's all like in last couple of years of creation. What I mean, are you sure that this is not a fabricated art of some kind?
Well, the deity, it was desecrated during the Abbasid Caliphate invasion of Afghanistan around the 8th century, 7th century, 8th century. But this is actually in the Kabul Museum. It is still not fully intact. As you can see, it's broken. 60% of it is broken, but the Mahishasur part and the trident, the Trishul of Devi Durga, as you can see on the left side, and her hands, and the dagger, those 3-4 hands of Devi Durga and Mahishasur are still intact. And this is in the Kabul Museum. So I'm pretty sure people in California who write textbooks, they have to look back into their history. They look back into their conscience, because I know they don't do it because they don't know the history. I think they do it because they hate Hindus. And it's the largest.
Okay, let me ask you this: Has this picture been validated by JNU?
Well, this is from the Kabul Museum. So I think if people in Afghanistan are still believe this belongs to them, there is somewhere some soul left in the world, I believe.
So that the reason I say that this might be fake is because I actually discovered a new picture which I thought is a lot more authenticate than the one that you are showing. Do you want me to share that picture?
Please do.
This is now, I call this an authentic picture.
Well, Ajay, we all know about the controversy that happened over the last week when the picture of Kamala Harris was superimposed on the face of Devi Durga. And somebody thought that it was a way of showing the Hindus that...
actually, it was her niece.
Her niece, yes. Meena Harris, her niece.
It was officially kind of her campaign picture, right? Because it came from her niece.
Yes.
There are no accidents in the presidential campaigns, okay?
No, it was not an accident. It was designed. It was intended to tell the Hindus that Kamala Harris is not just Hindu, but actually Devi Durga,
Yeah,
slaying Donald Trump. It was in very bad taste, to say the least, and it was Hinduphobic, in
very
its worst
insulting,
form.
very, very insulting. And
Very
I
insulting,
just for
and I just think the only comic relief I got from it was the face of Joe Biden being the lion, uh, and he almost seemed like he was in pain.
and he is
So
being ridden by Kamala
he
Harris.
was being ridden by Kamala Harris. So
Uh, I,
it
I,
was wrong in so many levels. It was ignorant, and this is the kind of tokenism. This is the kind of frivolous approach that I sometimes feel very sad that Democrats sometimes take, because they try too hard to appease everybody, and in some cases they do it just because they want to show off something and they really don't care. So this is one example of that, and it's unfortunate, but it was called out. Mina Harris deleted the tweet very quickly, within a day or so, but the damage was done. And but these things can happen from time to time in our times. That does not take away from the seriousness and the gravity of our past, and the creativity, the skill, the devotion of Hindus from the past, including those who used, whose progeny now is Taliban. Their ancestors were very highly evolved civilization, very beautiful art, very beautiful. You could see the devotion in their minds when they were carving out these beautiful deities that I showed.
Yeah, I sent out a statement on behalf of American Hindus Against Defamation and Hindu Pact, and this is what I said, and I caught a lot of flack for saying this, but I really mean this. So I'm going to read the statement that I sent out and let people opine on it and comment on it. So what I said was, it seems to us that Senator Harris, a self-acknowledged non-Hindu, because she calls herself a Baptist, right? She has never claimed to be herself to be a Hindu. She always calls herself to be a Baptist, and she says that I have family that is Hindu, but she has herself never claimed that she is a Hindu. So she is always a Baptist. So it seems to us that Senator Harris, a self-acknowledged non-Hindu, has now realized that in the battleground states, the Hindu votes matter. So Senator Harris is now rapidly discovering her Hindu roots. Welcome home, Senator. You have now moved on from masala dosas and cleverly inserted references to Chitti to donning the dress of goddess Durga. Do you want to know what those who practice Hindu Dharma think about this cartoonish portrayal of you as Durga Mata? Before assuming the form of Durga Mata, through your niece, did you bother picking up a book on Hindu Dharma 101? Or at least talk to your Chitti? Hindus are offended and Hindus are outraged because you have insulted Hindu goddess while you continue to claim to be a non-Hindu. You have the audacity to assume the form of a revered Hindu goddess during one of the most auspicious Hindu festivals, Navaratri, for scoring political points. So that was the statement I made, and I got a barrage of emails, and there were newspaper articles and all of them saying how insulting this is. This is not insulting to Kamala Harris. The insult was from Kamala Harris to Hindus. And if Hindus, those who are so committed to her, cannot realize that this is an insult to Hindu Dharma, look, we would have done exactly the same thing if we had seen a portrayal, of, there was, of President Trump taking Sri Krishna's roop in Vishwarupa Darshan. We do not tolerate insult to Hindu Dharma, regardless of who it comes from. We are not saying you vote for Trump. We are not saying you to vote for Biden. But what we are saying is that we will not stand for insult to Hindu Dharma. We will not stand for misusing and abusing Hindu deities and icons and culture for scoring cheap political points, regardless of who it comes from. And we have a consistent stand on it. We have opposed this when it comes from entertainers. We have opposed it when it comes from so-called Hindu politicians, we have come from those who are practicing Hindus, and they actually do a portrayal of Hindus that offends us. We are non-political. We just cannot tolerate the insult to Hindu Dharma, and that we will never let stand. Utsada, your comments?
So I think one thing I wanted to say when regarding your letter to the newspaper, which was published, I believe what you said is not insulting to Kamala Harris at all, because you actually acknowledged what she already has been on record with. She has been on record saying she's a Baptist Christian. You are just respecting her own words. It is actually disrespectful to her on behalf of the Hindu community when Hindus feel that somehow she has to be portrayed as a Hindu just because she's from India. That is actually far more insulting to her. It may give a warm feeling in the heart of those Hindus who want to do that, but that's not the truth. And that's also more insulting to Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris is a self-confessed Christian and a self-promoted Baptist. She is on record about that. Our people, which means the Hindu community, both in India and in America, really need to understand the difference between culture and dharma or religion. Because wearing a sari or eating masala dosa doesn't make you a Hindu. It is a food habit, and my daughter agrees here with me. It is a food habit. It makes you Indian, or it makes you like Indian, I guess. But that's about all about it. Hindu Dharma is not a frivolous, 20-year-old cultural practice which involves, wearing a bindi and sari and eating Indian food with samosa and tea. That is nothing to do with Hindu Dharma. And that if that is what Hindus reduced Hindu Dharma to, and this is not, and this I've seen this from other Hindus as well. I have known people here in America who have come to me and said, hey, my kid is growing up as a proud Hindu, and I make sure that she watches a Bollywood movie every week. I'm like, that doesn't make her a proud Hindu. In fact, watching too many Bollywood movies might actually throw her off what real Hindu Dharma is. So this is the frivolous and the superficial level in which many people look at Hindu Dharma as. And what you saw as the backlash to your post, to your letter to the newspaper, is a symptom of that. It is those people who look at Hindu Dharma as a very superficial 10-year-old cultural practice. Those are the people who will take offense to you. And they're actually being more offensive to Kamala Harris because she's actually a self-confessed Christian.
Yeah, I think, I enough said about that. I don't want to say any more because I think we have made all the points that we could ever make on this. And suffice it to say that Senator Harris has not admitted that she did anything wrong. There was people have called upon her. Hindus have called upon her to apologize, and she has not apologized. So we are where we are. So that a little bit about the debate, and I, because you were a participant, and I, you have a better insight into this because you actually took part in it. I was there. I was as one of the sponsors and organizers, but you actually participated in this. So that let me ask you this. There was one of the Democratic representatives, and here's the picture of the debate. Uh, on the right hand side, and Nishit Acharya, who was representing the Democratic side, a good friend of ours, right? We've known him for years. And he made a statement that the reason Vice President Biden does not have a Hindu section on his website is because he only has sections on uh, cultural communities. And he does not consider Hindus to be a cultural communities the way he considers Jews and Muslims and some of the Christians to be cultural communities. But India for him, so Hindus are not cultural community, it is all part of India. And so that in past, we have made a statement and we have said that, look, Basically, this is an exercise in de-identification because you bracket Hindus with Indians, and then you bracket Indians with South Asians, and you eliminate the Hindu and the Indian identity, and you're left with this broad, generic South Asian identity, which really means nothing. It is the most Hindu-phobic term that I know. South Asian, for an Indian to be called South Asian, is absolutely Hindu-phobic and absolutely India-phobic. But you were participating in the debate. You had asked this question about a website. So, what was your impression when you got this answer?
Well, just to give you the what actually happens when you do this, when you reduce the Hindu American identity to first to an Indian identity only, and then digest that Indian identity to a South Asian identity. I'll tell you a real outcome of that, and I mentioned that in the debate as well. A real outcome of that is that you reduce the Hindu to a subset of a pan-Islamic identity. And if you don't believe me and feel that what I am saying is a far stretch, here is an example. The first Diwali that was celebrated at the White House, a completely Hindu festival, okay? Full dharmic, there is nothing non-Hindu about Diwali. The first Diwali in the White House had a speaker from the Islamic Society of North America, who, by the way, was part of an organization that supports Hizbul Mujahideen, a banned Islamic terrorist organization. This person was a speaker at the first Diwali. And
Is
you
it
will
because
ask,
he adopted Hindu Dharma?
no, he's from the Islamic Society of North America. He's a Muslim, a Sunni Muslim with strong links to a terrorist organization. So the reason this person gets to get invited there and speak at the Diwali is because of this whole narrative of reducing Hindu Americans to Indian Americans who are digested under South Asian identity, who are then digested under a pan-Islamist identity. So every time I cry foul about this whole narrative building that is essentially ensuring that the future of American Hindu doesn't exist, and people say, hey, you are being too alarmist, I will have to point them to the 2012 event where this happened, and it happened without much fuss, because that is going to be the direction that it will take. You will have, jihadists talking about Diwali and Navaratri, and it will be normalized, because this is the end product of that narrative where you consume the American Hindu identity into the South Asian identity. So what you are seeing today is just a precursor of much worse things to happen if we continue to go forward with this South Asian branding. And I know it is easy for the overall American political parties to do it because that brings the largest number of people under one banner. But it is the most harmful to the American Hindu community, because now you're literally being, you are being forced into a tent, into a cage with those who really want to extinguish you, and you have nowhere else to go. So I would really, if people, thought leaders in the Democratic Party or whatever party you support, and I'm a nobody, I'm not a political hack, or I don't have political influence, but those who are, and those who will be, in case Biden wins, will be getting important government positions, I really urge them to look deeper than just their own personal careers, because that the Hindu community's future in America depends on that.
That is so well put, Sudha, because this is not the only thing that is happening. There are a string of events that are connected, and I think that people have not been able to connect the dots appropriately. The Hindus, when I say people, I mean Hindus, and Hindus in America just are not connecting the dots. That there is there is this series of things that are happening that are meant to for Hindus to just kind of give up their identity. There was a here is another example of a lawsuit, for example, that was that state of California. We talked about it a little bit previously, and this is a lawsuit that California Caste lawsuit is actually for the CISCO company. So Cisco is a big networking equipment provider, and state of California sued Cisco, saying that there was a caste-based discrimination, um, against an employee at Cisco. This has happened in Brandeis University, where they formally recognized caste as one of the discriminating factors and such. We have done a whole show on what is jati, what is varna, what is caste. And we, first and foremost, what we have said is that, look, we as Hindus are against discrimination of any kind, right? We don't want any kind of discrimination, whether it's based on, your jati, your varna, or so-called caste, or race, or ethnicity, or gender, or any of that. We also said that uh, the caste issue, as they call it in America, is pretty much non-existent. Most of the second generation Hindus don't even know what their caste is. Most of the first generation Hindus who have come to America, I would say over 90% of them, don't really care what their caste was, or what their jati was, what their varna was. They all came here to get education, or to start small businesses, and that's what they're engaged in day and night, working hard, trying to make ends meet, or trying to improve themselves, or trying to make an impact in the American society. To fabricate this kind of lawsuit and is basically a political move. And and they eventually ended up withdrawing the lawsuit. Now they are saying, oh, we're going to refile and all that, but we don't think they are going to refile. In any case, it was a really, really weak case, and it got withdrawn. But the impact of that on the Hindus working in California and elsewhere is going to be that now, well, I don't know if I want to use my Hindu name, or I don't want to tell anyone that I'm a Hindu, because who knows, someone who gets disgruntled is going to accuse me of caste-based discrimination, which we know pretty much does not exist in America. Again, we are all for equality at every level. We are not for any kind of discrimination. From it doesn't matter in what form it takes, and we definitely recognize that there are inequalities in India, there are inequalities in American society, in European societies, other Asian societies, and we take that inequality in Hindu society to heart, and we want to overcome that. We want to fight that, but we are not going to stand for assault on Hindu identity. Utsada, your comments.
So Ajay bhai, there are a couple of things we need to really highlight. One of the things is that, as we had discussed previously, this whole caste business is a fault line fishing expedition by, in this case in California, by radical Islamists, and in other cases it's been the Christian evangelists, because it's a fault line that has been very well developed, and as you said, no society is fully equitable, so you can always use one section of the society against another, and it has worked in the past in the Indian subcontinent. So they use it, they will continue to use it to break the Hindu society, if possible convert Hindus to other religions, because that is their ultimate goal. It's the erasure of Hindu dharma, and just caste or jati happens to be one of the tools that they feel is easily be usable. What they don't realize, what the world doesn't realize and doesn't highlight, is the fact that caste discrimination is far more prevalent in Christians and as well as in Muslims. This is so strong in Christian, in fact, far more stronger than the Hindus, that at least Hindus are cremated in the same crematorium. As much as you can complain about Hindus discriminating against each other using caste, they die in the same place, or their body goes to the same place. Unfortunately, the Christians don't even bury each other in the same burial ground. They have separate burial grounds for separate groups. Not just that, amongst Muslims, it is so strong that on top of their layers of own discriminating, theological evolution that Muslims have, which is the Shia Sunni divide, which is the Hanafi and the Hanbali, and the multiple philosophical divides that we have, and for which they kill each other, by the way. On top of that, they call themselves, if you see a wedding advertisement in Pakistan, it's really ironic and funny at the same time. They will be claiming their Sunni ethnicity, Sunni religious background. They will be claiming their high, mix of Sayyid, because they think they came from the Middle East somewhere, and that's why they're Sayyid. And under that, they will write Rajput bride. So they will also claim their Hindu jati as a separating factor. So, amongst Muslims, it's on top of the Islamic discriminations that they have layered their jati identity. So if anybody needs to work on caste discrimination, it is the Christian and the Muslim community. They legalize it and they promote it even after death. Not so they live it in life and they'll promote it after death. Hindus have laws that have banned caste discrimination in the Indian subcontinent. And you are absolutely right. Hindus in America barely know what their jati is. And it's going to go away even more because today everybody is a Shudra. Everybody is working for somebody else. And, within a Hindu community, the world is such in modern times that you have all the gunas and all the jatis mixing together. So, this is an artificial construct aimed at targeting Hindu community.
So what is the solution here?
The solution is awareness. It's awareness about within Hindus.
So what do you do when Brandeis University officially puts caste discrimination pretty much directed at Hindus? What do you do when state of California sues a private employer like CISCO?
Well,
what do you do when
so as I would congratulate people in
Hindus? What do
California.
Hindus have to do to counter that?
Well, they did a great job in California. The fact that the lawsuit fell apart and they had to withdraw the lawsuit is a testimony to the fact, and we should use that as such, is a testimony to the fact that you cannot just manufacture dissent because it suits your geopolitical goals. When you do that, you fail. There is real discrimination in every society, including in America. Very, very powerful fault lines here. And then you can use other social inequities to create dissent. And in the case of the California lawsuit against CISCO, it was that, and it fell apart. That's as a Hindu community should go out and talk about it. And we should also name the people who put the lawsuit or encouraged the lawsuit and were behind it. Because nobody there, it was done by the Islamists. And that, I think, was their biggest mistake. They exposed themselves, and that's why the lawsuit fell apart. I mean, they really need to be more subtle. I know subtlety is not a strength that Islamists have, but Hindus need to recognize that, and they have.
So when I say that this is coming from different directions, here's the one that affects the the immigrant community probably more than anything else. And let me share the screen and set the context, right? So, and I want to get your view on this. So this is, as you know, the Justice Department under President Trump has been investigating Yale for discriminating against Asian Americans and white applicants. I think it affects Asian Americans really disproportionately over admission practices. And this is especially blatant because the lawsuit was triggered by a Chinese American student, I believe, who had 5.0 GPA in high school on a scale of 0 to 4. So he had done all kinds of AP credits and all that, had excellent accomplishments in music and extracurricular activities, whether it's sports, voluntary services, you name it. And a truly exceptional student. And this Chinese American did not get admission. And so Justice Department took up his cause and filed a lawsuit. And has essentially now, after investigation, has now, filed a civil rights lawsuit against the Yale University and has been, working on having Yale disclose the criteria for admission. Because the reason I bring this up, Utsoda, is because I know Indian parents who forego their vacations, who forego a lot of luxuries in life. They're first generation Americans, and they put a lot of effort in educating their kids. And the kids, end up not getting into the schools they deserve to get into. And this lawsuit is is actually something that I would think that Hindus and those who claim to represent Hindus would say that, yeah, this is disproportionately affecting Hindus and we'll take this cause up. And then we have a so-called Hindu representative in Congress, Ro Khanna, who is protesting this. Where is he coming from? Is he representing his constituents, or is he representing people who is giving him money or special interest? Or what's wrong with Ro Khanna?
Well, to be honest, we should not fault Ro Khanna for the position he's taking. We should just vote accordingly in response. So Ro Khanna has never held a brief for the American Hindu community because he believes that's not a big enough voting bloc to propel his career to whatever he wants to be. He wants to be a senator. He wants to be eventually a president of the United States. So he has worked accordingly. He has a far bigger constituency if he goes into the extreme left of the Democratic, because he's a Democrat. He knows that there's a big section of the Democratic Party that is moving left, and in every election it keeps moving further left. They may never get to the power because the establishment of the Democratic Party sabotages them, like Biden did, and keeps control. But the left keeps getting stronger as the support base. And Ro Khanna wants to ride that extreme left support base to reach wherever he can reach in the Democratic Party. It's perfectly fine. He's looking after his own interest. And Hindus don't figure in that interest. They don't matter. So Hindus should recognize that, accept that, and vote him out wherever they can. And
yeah, go ahead, please finish.
So I think it's reality. And if expecting things from whether it's Ro Khanna, whether it's Pramila Jayapal, just because they have Hindu sounding names or names that originate in Sanskrit, it's again a naivety on the part of the American Hindu community. And it shows their lack of understanding of American politics. Ro Khanna is not going to do anything for the Hindu American community. There are less than a couple of million Hindus who vote. And why would Ro Khanna cater to the needs of that community when he can get far many more millions in terms of vote and money, by the way, by catering to the extreme left of the Democratic Party?
Well, so I don't know if I agree with you, because I think that people in America will see how Ro Khanna can betray a small community of Hindus, and they will say that, hey, this is the person who Hindus supported with all their efforts and money and everything else. He had to run 2 or 3 times before he got elected the first time, and this is the guy who came to power at the strength of and the support of the Hindu community in California, and then he went and betrays them. How much faith or trust can other people put in them? Because it is a character flaw. It is not, I don't think that he will ever come out of it, because let's say he runs for Senate or he runs for president or whatever. I think Hindus should be able to point out, and people will immediately recognize that this is a person who is not trustworthy. This is a person who takes his constituents for granted. And they will look beyond, and I think that unless Ro Khanna really starts introspecting, he has no political future.
Well, I would have to say that Ro Khanna, probably doesn't agree with what you said, and that's why he's doing what he does. Yeah, he comes across like a jerk, for lack of a better word, to his community, but he's a politician. If you didn't expect that from him, and those who donated to him and I met a lot of donors in California and spoke to them who had donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Ro Khanna, and were really upset with him when he supported a sympathizer of terrorists named Peter Frederick, who is a Hinduphobe and targets Hindus everywhere in both parties. He apologized in 10 minutes and said, hey, I didn't know who he was, and then went on and does what he does. So he's a politician. In fact, if anything, he just represents the the dichotomy and the lack of accountability that American politicians have come to represent. And it's not just America, it's probably all over the world, but we are talking about American politics. So Ro Khanna is an epitome of the lack of accountability that politicians in America have come to represent. And he will, I can guarantee you, he will always choose the extreme left of the Democratic Party over the American Hindu community's interest, because it's easy. Extreme left in America needs leaders like Ro Khanna. And they will support him. They will always support him. They might throw him under the bus once he's about to reach his goal. And that's going to be the nature of the Democratic Party. If they don't believe me, they can go and talk to Bernie Sanders. But until he reaches that level, he will get support.
Yeah, but see, look, I mean, the biggest sin that he has committed to me is betrayal, joining Pakistani caucus. I mean, these are the people who are killing Hindus at the border, who are kidnapping Hindu girls and converting them by force in Sindh, really eliminating every trace of Hindu dharma in the land where Vedas were written in Sindh, along the Sindhu Saraswati civilization. Right? On the banks of Saraswati River, a lot of that is on the northwestern part of India. And that is the land which is now eliminating every trace of Hindu dharma. They're breaking the broken idol murtis, and this is their caucus now has Ro Khanna. Instead of criticizing them, instead of taking them to task, he's joined them. And now he is going us. And now the people who live in America, who vote for him, who funded him for his congressional run, he's now out to make sure that their kids don't get equal opportunity in terms of getting admissions to the schools they deserve to get into, regardless of how much hard work they put in. Again, we are not for any kind of discrimination. We are for equality. But if someone has worked above and beyond, and put in above and beyond effort, and their parents have made sacrifices like Hindu parents do, then they should get into the school of their choice that they deserve to get into with fair admission practices. And Ro Khanna, is just against that.
Well, these things are often self-correcting, and they, as you can see, when these things are done to the extreme, and then societies respond back, and it's a matter of time before these things will self-correct themselves. And if they don't, what happens is that alternatives are created. So suddenly you will see that because at the end of the day, meritocracy is something that is intrinsic to the successful operation of any project, any whether it is in business, whether it is in you name it, anything that produces and creates anything, you need meritocracy, because that's how the world works. So I believe that they can make laws and they can discriminate in university admissions. The universities will lose credibility, and people who hire will go somewhere else to hire. It is the nature of the world and how it works. If Stanford doesn't give, Stanford is Stanford, not because of the name Stanford, because of the students who go there and who come out of there, graduate from there, and carry a certain level of knowledge, a certain level of efficiency, a certain level of capability. You throw that on the bus, there will be a new Stanford that will find its place in the world of meritocracy. So I think these things are self-correcting. In the larger scheme of things, I think they will self-correct themselves.
So that this is really interesting, right? You say that because in California there's a Proposition 16, and Proposition 16 reverses a previous proposition that came about 15-20 years ago, which said that in colleges during admission and other practices, hiring practices, etc., race and ethnicity would not be considered. It would be essentially agnostic of race and ethnicity and such. And Proposition 16 is meant to reverse that. So Proposition 16 says that the race, ethnicity, etc., will be considered during admission and hiring practices explicitly. And The uh, this is California, right? California is the deepest of blue states that there is, and every newspaper has endorsed Proposition 16. Almost all the politicians have endorsed Proposition 16, and yet even among the Democratic Party, there is no support for it. And San Francisco Chronicle is asking a question now, 2 days ago, saying, how can Proposition 16 be losing in California? Because if there was any place where this proposition would pass, it would be California. And they're finding that there are no takers for this. And this is exactly along the lines of the Yale proposition. And you see that, people who are, people are saying that, hey, let the meritocracy rise to the top. And I was reading that article, and it's exactly the same argument that people have made in past when this came up. And that is, I think the role that state has to play is at the preschool level and the school level, a daycare level, and the high school level, where providing extra assistance in terms of tutoring, in terms of classes to all the people who cannot afford it, and all the communities that are, that have historically not performed, well because of past discrimination or because of whatever other reasons that these are the communities that and the people who are people are who don't have a lot of a lot of money to send their kids to private classes and things like that. State would be better off in creating mechanisms to help these communities by providing them free tutoring, providing them other kinds of assistance, so that they're taken, the state is supporting them in every other way so that they can concentrate on studies, and state is helping them in terms of free classes and all that, instead of saying that I'm going to take away the opportunity from someone else. Level the playing field so everyone has equal opportunity, but not at the, don't put artificial, artificial, I would say, criteria to get people into college or the other. What do you have to say, Utsada?
Well, I completely agree with you, Ajay bhai. But as I said, when that is done, when there is artificial initiatives and efforts to stifle meritocracy, it finds a way around it. And what happens is people, the universities will lose credibility. The institutions that are not promoting meritocracy will lose credibility, and and the market will follow the successful, more efficient, more capable candidates wherever they are. And historically, that has been the way it has been done, and it will continue to be that way. You really cannot artificially stifle. If Ro Khanna had to learn a lesson about that, he should have looked at his own grandfather. His own grandfather was kicked out of what is present day Pakistan by the Islamists. They took away his grandfather's property. They took everything away from him. He came to India as a refugee and built his life to become a successful individual. And nobody could take that away from his grandfather. And I'm pretty sure Ro Khanna is where he is today because of what his father instilled in him in terms of values of education and knowledge, and pure meritocracy. So for Ro Khanna or any leader, we are mentioning Democrats because California is controlled by Democrats. To stifle capability in efficiency and meritocracy in this manner, he will learn his own lesson. Time will teach these people their lesson. And if he has to look anywhere to learn a lesson from, it is his own grandfather. Ajay bhai, your sound is not on. Your sound is not on.
Sorry. So I think you did a great job in explaining, as you always do. I think we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and watch and see how this plays out. I have a couple of things I want to share that would, I think that it's really a a day of, yesterday was a day of pride for all the people who are associated with VHP America. For the first time, VHP now has an actual office building in America, and it was in the Chicago area. And you can see there was a puja done yesterday to inaugurate it. And for a national organization of the scale that VHPA is, it is a matter of pride that, after 50 years, we have now inaugurated our first office building, and it's going to be a center for a lot of activities. It's a community center, and they're going to have a bal vihar and other things that are usually taking place in various places. So congratulations to VHPA team in Chicago for this milestone, and to all our fellow VHPA karyakartas for this great achievement. I think this is something that is something to be proud of. I also want to mention that, and I will talk about it. No, we won't be able to talk about it next week, but I want to mention this, and if I have a graphics, I'll show you a little later. On next Saturday, in Los Angeles, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America chapter there is doing a virtual celebration for Sardar Patel's birth anniversary, and that is going to be broadcast live, and I'll present some information on that in a couple of minutes, Utsoda, towards the end of the show. But I want to mention that this is Sardar Patel's contribution to Bharat, and the way Bharat is today cannot be minimized. It's the map of the country, looks the way it does is because Sardar Patel, the 538 small principalities that he actually brought together and formed a union, and that was a massive task that he accomplished. And for our Dharma Bhumi to be to be a single country and not have 538 different little countries there is an amazing task. And that so VHP, a chapter in Los Angeles, is going to celebrate this event, and our president Abhaya Asthana ji is the keynote speaker over there. Utsoda, before we go to Hindu Seva Act of the week, I want to before we go to the Hindu Phobe of the week, the most anticipated segment of the week, I want to talk about Hindu Seva Act of the week. And once again, Utsoda, I keep saying this every week because this is really important. We have a target to meet, and the Seva Act of the week is support a child in sacusa.org. It's a VHPA program for $25 a month. You support a child in Bharat, and that child is taken care of in every single way, from their daily needs to educational needs. They do amazing amount of work. Their target this year is to support 3,500 kids. Last year, they made it to 3,000. So they're, and just like 3 or 4 years ago, they were only up to about 700. So it has gone up to 3,000 last year. And this year, they have a goal of 3,500. I think they're at about 1,400 or so right now, and they can really use everyone's help. So I urge everyone to go to sacusa.org and make a donation over there. I would also like people to consider another place to contribute, and that is please contribute to Hindu Pact and HinduLounge. It is not, we don't name ourselves as Seva Act of the Week because we are not, we are not in the same category of Seva. We are advocacy and awareness and things like that. But, we want to formally do a lot of stuff in advocacy, and we are really looking for your contributions. So please go to hindupact.org, that is hindupact.org, and make a contribution to Hindu Pact. And Hindu Pact, as you know, is the organization or initiative of VHPA that brings you HinduLounge every week. So please support HinduLounge. Please support Hindu Pact. Go to hindupact.org and make your contribution. And with that, Utsoda, Hindu Phobic Act of the Week, or Hindu, and Somebody has already on the chat mentioned another act, so I'll bring that up. But I want to first go to the Hindu phobe of the week that you have picked. So please, I'll share the screen and please talk about the Hindu phobe of the week of last 2 weeks. So with that, let me see when you can see my screen share. Go ahead. So what is this all about?
So this is again because we are in the season of elections, and we are talking about politics, and this is the last week of politics in America under the banner of elections. I thought, and we discussed this, Ajay Bhai, you also made the right suggestion that we should discuss Hinduphobia that is emerging in the form of political action during these election times. And this is a perfect example. And this was brought to the notice of most of the community around America, Hindu American community around America, by a Republican candidate from California named Nisha Sharma. So if you zoom into this, and we can see the tweet, she mentions that this is a Democratic candidate who is running, a self-professed Hindu named Sri Kulkarni. He's running from Texas near Houston, and this is the banner outside a voting booth. It says "Vote Blue, no matter who." So that's obviously a Democratic Party slogan, but not Shri in Texas 22. So, and then it goes on, the banner goes on to explain why Sri Kulkarni should not be voted, because he has connections to so-called Hindu nationalist groups. And that's a dog whistle to target Hindus everywhere. And that's being used by both Islamists and Christian supremacists in America. So to have that kind of a poster outside a polling booth in Texas, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's the kind of hatred that Jews faced in Nazi Germany, and this is being normalized. So I'm very, very thankful to Nisha Sharma from California for bringing this up. As a candidate, I have seen her mention and talk about this before. I think our community needs to look at leaders like that, or upcoming leaders like that, and see the difference between the Nisha Sharmas who are running from California and the Ro Khannas who are running from California, and wonder who should be getting the money of the American Hindu community. So that's something I would leave our audience to think about.
So Utsada, why I am offended? I am offended because they left out VHPA in this. I mean, why is that? I mean, come on. I mean, what did we do to deserve that? I mean, they mention HSS. They mention, they mention. Let's see, who do they mention?
Modi, HSS. They mention every Hindu who stands up.
Yeah. Why not us? I'm truly offended. Let me blow this up. I was thinking about it while you were speaking, and I felt absolutely offended that they left out VHPA here. See, they say HSS, RSS, BJP. So I mean, we must be really insignificant, right? I mean, come on. Where is VHPA? Where is Hindu Pact? Where is HinduLounge? Why not us?
Well, obviously you haven't graduated to that level.
I'm absolutely, now I'm appalled. I'm appalled that we don't get the credit we deserve here. In all honesty, Utsuda, we talked with our last whole show, in show number 20, episode number 25, we extensively covered the Hindu phobia against a Hindu candidate running from any political party. And we actually traced the hierarchy of how Hindu politicians succumb to this. And this is nothing but Hindu phobia in action. All they're trying to do is basically anyone who talks to any Hindu organization is being targeted.
So funny thing is that Sri Kulkarni, begged and apologized and said, I don't like, Modi. He literally, he's going all out to convince those who are attacking him that he's, you know, he's going to throw them into the fire if once elected, and they are still not impressed with him. You know, if this is not how a colonized mind works, I don't know what does.
So that I, that, and the next step here is going to be oppose any Hindu who goes to a mandir. I think we are coming to a state where if you went to a mandir, you're going to be branded, and you're going to be, the next time when someone puts up this poster is going to say support blue or support red, but accept this candidate because this candidate went to a mandir where there are multiple murtis, and it is not a place without any representation of God in form of murti, or it doesn't have a single symbol representing a God. Please oppose this candidate because this candidate is blasphemous. I think that is the next step. Wait and watch. This is just the starting point.
Well,
So that I
the
go
Jewish
ahead.
community in France has been facing that because we all know what's happening in France right now, and it's not the French or the Europeans who are doing that to them. It's the Muslim community in France that is targeting the Jews like that. Anybody who has the remotest association to Jewish community activism, Jewish social and cultural practices are being shunned and discriminated against in many parts of France. And I think this unabashed acceptance of hatred in the form of diversity, and that is happening in America under the garb of Marxist leftist liberalism. Quotes, I put that in quotes because it's not actual being liberal at all or progressive at all. It's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
It's going to take us to that level of problem.
So that finally, because somebody mentioned this in chat, and I had this as a Hinduphobe act, but we're not planning to present that. But somebody mentioned in the chat that, hey, are you going to bring this particular act up or not? Because this was one of the probably most widely talked about act. So I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to, with a lot of hesitance, I'm going to show this. It was withdrawn, but I have to show this because somebody brought it up in the chat, and we respect our viewers, and when they bring something up, we want to show that. So that let me show you this one particular. I'm going to share this, and I'm going to show this one very briefly because I don't want to give it that much publicity, but I do want to, because it was brought up in chat. I don't want to ignore it either. This is from Eros Now, and they sent out a tweet, and this is really vulgar tweet and about and for those who understand Hindi, I'm not going to translate this, but really vulgar tweet about Navaratri. And as I said, it's very insulting tweet, and there's a lot of backlash. And this is the same organization that sent out a very complimentary tweet about Eid. And this is vulgar. It sexualizes the Navaratri festival like nothing has ever been done. No one has ever done before. I came across this the day it was sent out, and but there was severe backlash from Hindus across the world on this, and eventually this tweet was withdrawn, and there was an apology tendered. But the fact that this organization can actually put this out is absolutely unbelievable. That in a country of with 82% Hindu population, about a billion Hindus in the world, and someone has and a company has the audacity to send out this kind of tweet. Uh, I I think that it was right for Hindus to stand up and say we're not going to take this anymore. And I'm so glad that this tweet was taken down. But I think it is just the beginning. I think Hindus will have to be a lot more vigilant and not a lot more assertive to make sure that this does not even happen. Forget about taking it down, but I hope it doesn't even happen. That again in future. This is absolutely the worst kind of insult that you can do to
Ajay
Hindus.
bhai, but I didn't look deeper into the Eros uh, tweet or but I believe that isn't this the same company that used to make the market Bollywood movies around the world and make digital and video contents for promotion around the world?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, if so, Eros at one point of time in the late 1990s was investigated for having funds from well-known, uh, mafia slash globalist, pan-Islamist terrorist named Dawood Ibrahim. For those of us who know Dawood Ibrahim, who he is, they know that he was responsible for many terrorist attacks in the 90s in India. And so he was known to have investments in Eros during the 90s because he had a lot of investment in Bollywood movie industry. And a lot of the Eros marketing that was done in Middle East, especially in Dubai, Qatar, and all these Middle Eastern countries, Kuwait, uh, a lot of the profits used to go to him, to Dawood Ibrahim and his syndicate. So you know I don't know what I'm not qualified or I'm not educated enough about what Eros is doing now. I'm pretty sure they're a perfectly legal and a very legitimate organization by now, and all those has been cleaned up. But hey, if people are looking deeper, they can look deeper and see if there is any connection or if there is any influence or things like that. But this requires real investigative effort, and we cannot be just claiming stuff.
Yeah. Hey, so I want to read out. So first, I want to give a shout out to Dhawal Joshipuraji. He said, congratulations on going deep into the problems faced by not Hindus but Indians working in US." So thank you, Dhawalji, for all your support. Lalit Boraji has said that there are no consequences for acts like this. So all these rogue actors don't even blink before defaming Hindus. Only saving grace is that Hindus are becoming more vocal. Thank you, Lalit ji. We appreciate your comments. You're absolutely right. Just a few years ago, this particular act or these kinds of acts would have gone completely, um, unchallenged. And now we are at a stage where, these things are being challenged. I don't think that Hindus of today are going to take insult to Hindu Dharma lying down. So with that, Utsoda, I think we have come to the end of today's Hindu Lounge. I want to say thank you to you for again doing a really really awesome job. The way you present, the way you articulate the issues is just perfect. So thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for doing this week in and week out. I think you know. Uh, I think this is something that is a much needed effort for the Hindu community in America, and you're doing a great job. So thank you, Utsoda. I want to thank all our viewers for tuning in. Once again, this is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is the policy research and advocacy initiative of World Hindu Council of America with Ajay Shah and Utsav Chakrabarti. And Utsoda, your final parting words.
Thank you, Ajay Bhai, and thank you for being so generously appreciative of me. The fact of the matter is that it is Ajay Shah who does all the hard work and sets everything up. I just get to come here and yap away what I am thinking. So, but I'm very thankful that I get a chance to do that. But to be honest, all the hard work, all the effort, it's really Ajay Bhai's work, and I guess it's his Sangh background that makes him so full of humility, and he almost takes it in stride because it's what people in the Sangh do, and I enjoy the fruits of it. So thank you very much, Ajay Bhai, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. And namaste, everybody. See you all next Sunday.
Namaste.